Let's start with the Melbourne Football Club. And the song says it's a grand old flag. Well, it isn't. It is not. There's the smell of death around my club. There is a smell of death around the Melbourne Football Club. I've seen it before. I saw it with Fitzroy before it went to Queensland. There is the smell of death around the Melbourne Football Club. I still support it. I always will. I support the Demons since the day I was born. It's what my family does. But if you care about sport, if you care about football, you've got to care about this. It is time now for the AFL to step in. It is time to save the Melbourne Football Club. It is that serious. And the first thing they should do is sack the chief executive, Cameron Schwab. Now, certainly there are some around football who believe this is the only way to go. I've talked to them about it. They've made the point to me. That includes some in very high places. I think it will happen. I think the AFL is already involved unofficially. I think talks are underway for the AFL to get more involved at the Melbourne Football Club. And I think one of the first things the AFL will do is sack the chief executive. And so they should. You have to. He's had enough chances. And there is a problem with the culture at this club. I don't know why. I don't know what it is. There is a problem. Many people around football from different clubs are discussing it openly. I spent a lot of time around football at the weekend. A lot of people are saying you must start at the top. Sack Schwab. The AFL moves in, oversees the club, gets it back on a firm footing, and then moves out. They have to do it. Now, the Melbourne Football Club must thrive for a national competition to be serious. You need a club called Melbourne if you're going to have a national competition. It can build blockbusters. You've got a good Melbourne team. You've got Melbourne versus Sydney. Sydney's a good team. Melbourne's not. Melbourne versus Sydney's no game now because Melbourne gets whipped. Melbourne versus Adelaide, city to city, head to head. That's what you've got to build. That is why the AFL has to step in. That, and because if it does not, this football club will probably continue to be a pathetic excuse for a competitor. That is sad, very sad. It hurts a lot, but it's true. And you can't dodge the truth. You know, some of the dodging and diving going on at the weekend, football is usually a culture where you confront issues, you confront a problem and then move on. It's one of the things I love about elite football is you've got a problem with them, you sort it out there and then move on. Look at the way Tony Shaw goes about business. He's got a disagreement with you, head to head, sort it out, then forget about it. Well, that wasn't happening too much at the weekend. Have a listen to one of Melbourne's senior assistant coaches, Neil Craig, former coach of Adelaide. He couldn't even bring himself to use the word crisis when he was talking about the coach, Mark Neal.
He's got a crystal clear picture about what the future of the Melbourne Football Club looks like, and he's going to have to deal with this crisis. He has to deal with this situation at the moment, which is a tough situation.
Bloody hell, if this isn't a crisis, I don't know what is. 96900 693 13 13 32. Let's admit it's a crisis. Let's get on with it. Look, I think it is the only chance to save the club now. We're a joke. We're dying. I'm like any Melbourne supporter. It hurts enormously to watch them humiliated. And at times, yes, they seem not to be trying. I was particularly tuned into it because I spent Saturday and Sunday behind the scenes with Mick Malthouse at Carlton. I was in all the player meetings, in the box and the rest of it. Now, I'll come to that in a moment, but I felt particularly tuned into what was happening on the field. Melbourne was genuinely awful, but I hated the booing. That's not your way you carry on. I don't care how passionate as a supporter, you do not boo your players off the field. That's outrageous. It's insulting. It's offensive. You're not fair dinkum supporters if you do that. Be angry. Be upset, like that poor guy leaning on the fence, almost in tears. Be passionate about it, but you don't boo them off. The public displays of disgust me. So what needs to, and that's not what I'm doing here. What I'm doing here is talking about the future, how to act, how to achieve something, not just saying boo. So what needs to be done? 1, shave off those damn beards. It's an awful symbol. A beard growing competition when they can't compete on the field is ridiculous. So they can compete to grow a beard, but not out on the field. Get rid of the beards, a bit of discipline. A symbol, shave them off. 2, bring in the AFL. Now, Melbourne gets AFL money. The league can and should step in. Hopefully the board will approve that. If not, should happen anyway. But if the board can ask for AFL help, it should at once. I'm surprised that they haven't already. 3rd, sack Schwab. It's his 2nd time at the club. He's been there since 2008 this time. I read the weekend he hasn't had a premiership in all his time in football. And I think he's been in football since 1988. That is not the culture of success. It is the culture of failure. The AFL should move on. It's going to move in. It's going to take years to fix. If it doesn't happen, We are finished.